Hello, come to you today with a review of The Innocents by Michael Crummy, which you might be able to make out on that screen there. If not, I'll try and po- post, you know, stick a picture about where my hand is so you can see it more clearly. This is a 2019 novel by Newfoundland writer Michael Crummy, talking about the story of Ada and Everett, brother and sister in it's probably the early 1800s. There's no definite dates, only ever rough dates. Growing up on a what I believe is called like an outport, just an outport establishment just of themselves, just a single house in this cove. Growing up with their mother and father, and through flashbacks we see the birth of their infant sister, Martha. Um, in the Pretty quickly in the opening of the story, um, Martha and their mother and their father all succumb to illness and die of some sort of unknown fever, and they are left in the middle of nowhere on this cove where the family has been kind of scraping by a very subsistence level of existence, catching a herring, drying it out, and then every 6 months or something, a ship would come by, commanded by a figure called the Beetle, and would, in exchange for that, would they'd have supplies to survive through to the next time that the Beetle showed up, and it was just that continual cycle. And this is all that Ada and Everett have ever known. And indeed, this story is a story of only in this one place, and a story of their survival. Story of they start off like quite young, Everett is maybe 12 or something like that, and he's the older of the two, and it's them growing up into uh, seeing how far they're going to grow up. I guess you can say there's always a kind of a question: is this going to be the time when they die? Because this is Newfoundland, coast. I'm assuming coast of Newfoundland, where it is just so brutal. It is like they are, one mistake happens and you'd be dead. You would just be dead out here, and you would have they have no one to depend on. And indeed, but it's kind of it's a thing of this story of why you can get the sense of how the age. It's like when the Beetle does show up and says like, oh well, you probably want to we'll take you somewhere and thing. And it's like, no, we want to make a go of it. We're going to stay here. And a part of that is Ada has a very strong connection with Martha, this dead infant sister, and says she can kind of feel her presence here, and she doesn't want to leave her, won't leave her. And Everett, who's maybe a little bit more practical minded, is like, well, we'll tough it through a season, and maybe she'll see reason after that and we can go. But they continue on there. They continue on there, and this is about their relationship, and their relationship as they grow into kind of early teens, and all the hormones happen, and we go into what can be only described as the very very squicky area where you hear tales of brothers and sisters who too attached to each other, and that got and in something as isolated as this is the only other person there, developed that kind of relationship. The sexual nature of their bodies is just driving them at a certain point, in ebbs and flows. This is a book that has a lot of incident in it, and a lot of modulation of them going from just not being able to stand each other anymore because it's the only people here, to being the to being to having just really the closest connection you could ever have. I mean, close as brother and sister, or a husband and a wife ever could. We learn about their family's life before their parents died, and it was hard scrabble, but it was a loving family, with a mother and father who did actually who loved each other, who were tough, fierce people together. In the course of this story, you learn more about the parents' story and its almost biblical connotations. Perhaps you get encounters with sort of kind of an English crew where they actually them bouncing off of actually having other people to bounce off of and learn stuff from, and like have that get more of a conception of it being an outside world. I thought of some points in here. I thought of Emma Downow's Room, where in that novel, it's a mother and a child trapped in a room by an abductor, and the room is the only thing this child has ever known. And this is a story where it's two children growing up in this cove, and it's all they've ever known, and it's sort of like it's that level of claustrophobic nature, intimate nature, which Michael Crummey is really great at capturing the characters' voices, their perspectives on things of this is how they think. It can be claustrophobic, it can be incestuous in any literal sense, and there's through a good hunk of this book that it's powerful writing, and its character work did a lot for me, because there's good hunks of this book I was like, why are you telling me the story? This is a cross between the Blue Lagoon and the Lighthouse, which it's young 1980s Blue Lagoon with Brooke Shields is just one of these super gross 80s exploitive movies of young teens exploring their bodies for the titillation of the audience, in this tropical paradise, where the Lighthouse is these two farting, smelly, sweaty dudes going slowly insane in this claustrophobic kind of lighthouse, and developing maybe kind of a weird relationship, in super hard conditions. The super hard conditions are indeed what's happening in is what's happening in the Innocents. It's that kind of brutalness, and it's that kind of the facts of life. But you also kind of do get that kind of like, why are we telling this story? Why, my question to Michael Crummey through parts of this were like, yes, you're really getting me into these characters. Yes, this is really brutal environment. Oh God, there's a scene where there's like a hunting thing with a bear and its cub that is, funnily enough, that there almost destroyed me the most. And especially it's like making that bear cub an orphan, and it's like, you two are orphans, and it's like, you have to live in this in this world, and it's like, you do not do that by going, oh, cute little bear. No, you shoot and you feed and you live. But there's like that question of like, why are you telling me this story? Now, Michael Crummey, this is probably why it's like, I think this is really is a good novel, is that Michael Crummey answered that question for me. There is a ship trapped in the ice, and horrible stuff has happened there. And there's a log. There's a log of that the story's written down. The beetle, this captain, or the kind of the money man of this ship, has written down all the information on Ada and Everett's family, down to like how many kids they have, all their particulars. And Everett finds that kind of like disconcerting, that you would have written this down about ourselves. Like it's something, it's like you're putting your claws into me. And I think there's, you're making a judgment on us. You're weighing our worth. And there's something about this book that this is apparent. I vaguely hear. I try not to go things, but this is something that actually happens. That especially at this time of like a brother and a sister getting a relationship that is really inappropriate. Is inappropriate. It's inappropriate socially and biologically. but it manages to kind of tell you. It says like no, to tell the story without a judgment, and to set it down in a book and say it is, and